Oh, well. Hey, we had work to do. Sorry. We had things to do. That's why we're a little later today.
Blame Disney.
You know what? I do blame Disney in this particular case. It's Disney's fault.
It's Disney's fault.
Okay. Welcome to the Super Show, ladies and gentlemen. I, as always, am Alex Heaver, and I'm here with Phil with the D20 tattoos. So, Adepticon was last night. Phil and I were both watching the reveals as they went. I'm actually going to leave criticism of their specific live stream till later. But we can start with the minor stuff. Lionel Johnson.
That model looks cool as shit.
It looks good. I still say it's a nerd name, Lionel. Okay? And you know there's some inside joke at GW about that.
Probably.
That's why they just move the parentheses around and things like that, or the apostrophe. It's a good looking model, but I'm like...
I don't even play Dark Angels, and I want to paint.
So how many pre-marks are back now?
5.
5?
Yeah, 3 Chaos, 2... Yeah, 3 Chaos, 2... Imperium.
So I did see a lot in the live chat last night when they were talking about Lionel Johnson. Phil needs to move his mic because his beard's getting in the way. So give us one moment while Pete adjusts that.
Was my beard dumbing any sound? Oh.
Yeah. So I did see a lot of people in the thing being like, bring back Lehman Russ.
Of course bring back Lehman Russ.
Right? Because I know they want the pre-mark of the Space Wolves to return.
Of course.
Cross the Rubicon.
Well, he doesn't. Primarchs don't need to cross the Rubicons.
So, we're getting Lionel Johnson back. It's a good looking model. That was a thing. They had a bunch of Sigmar stuff. They've got a new Kill Team box coming, which looks pretty neat because it's Beastmen. I kind of like
Votann.
Beastmen and Votann.
Yeah.
And it's apparently some new. It's a new format and it's a time limited. Because the Beastmen and the Votann are on a ship crashing into a planet, and if you don't get to the escape pods in time, you die.
That's a game mode?
That's the game mode for the new box.
Yeah.
That's rad.
That is, it's pretty neat.
Well, what a lot of people don't realize in the lore, when you're doing a boarding action, you're sending squads to do specific things. Like one squad is running to bridge to kill the bridge team, and one squad is running to the engine to plant bombs on the engine, to blow up the engine, and then other teams are just running around causing distractions while the primary teams are trying to get to their objective to get it done.
Yeah, murking people. Yep, it's Jetpack Dwarves. They also said that one of the other kits, the Hearthkin kit, will work for this kill team. It's basically the same stuff with the same upgrade sprues. The Beastmen do look really, really cool.
Yeah, they do look cool.
And they talked about the Beastmen being in Blackstone Fortress, but being kind of a side thing there. But now they're doing a full, what are they called? What's the actual faction called? Felgorn?
I don't know. I don't remember.
I think it's Felgorn is the actual faction.
But I mean, it's just going to be probably a troop choice.
For Chaos?
For Chaos. Because the Trader Guard is now a troop choice. That's why I asked to get all those Trader Guard out of our Blackstone Fortress box.
Oh, yeah. Now you can get the Beastmen out of the Blackstone Fortress box once you get that kill team, too.
No, I already took those.
You already took the Beastmen. Let's see, what else did they reveal last night? Not much until the very end.
New Nid, new Terminator.
There's new Nids, new Terminators. The new Terminators look a lot like the classic Terminator, just in style, but the sculpts look really...
They're taller.
They're taller, and they're scaled better against Primaris. They also said from a lore perspective, because people were asking about Primaris Terminator, so now their lore excuse is you don't know whether it's Firstborn or Primaris inside the Terminator, and that the first company can be either Primaris or Firstborn.
Yeah. Because apparently Call makes all this new technology, but just can't figure out new Terminator armor.
And so they just jam either a Primaris Marine or a Firstborn. It doesn't matter inside a Terminator. So it could be both. It could be both.
What?
We don't know. They do standard come with the Stormbolter and the Power Fist. That's their base loadout.
Yeah.
I mean, they look neat. They have new Termagants.
The new Gaunt model looks nice.
The new Gaunt model looks nice. They talked a lot about it being reflective of the Nids, like, evolving.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk a little real quick, because we're talking about the lore for the new thingy, and apparently all the previous Nid invasions had come from the east side of the galaxy, but this one, the largest Nid invasion yet is coming from the opposite side.
Yes.
How did they get there? Why is it coming from the opposite side, Phil? You're supposed to know these things.
So the Silent King alluded to... Silent King is the main guy for the Necrons. He didn't go to Sleepy Sleep when they all went to sleep. Him and a lot of his Praetorians... He left Praetorians running around the Milky Way to do weird things, and that's part of why a lot of cultures had the Grim Reaper theory, the Grim Reaper aspect to the a god of death in their lore, because apparently Necrons were just running around ganking folks. But he leaves the Milky Way, and then when he comes back and starts waking up the other tomb worlds, he's like, the only thing I found out there was just wall-to-wall nids. Everywhere. Everywhere.
So now there's a giant Nid invasion coming from the opposite side of the galaxy, and so now they're coming in like a pincer action to attempt to destroy the Imperium.
Yes.
And we all know the Nids are the least evil of the
Kind
factions.
of.
Now they're just hungry.
Well, no, they've fleshed out the hive mind a little more in the last few books. So the hive mind is aware and malevolent to the point where, so that's why the whole the whole Blood Angels invasion of Baal, which is their home planet, happens, because the hive mind is pissed at the red hardbacks.
To answer a question from chat, Warhammer Underworld is basically Necromunda or Sigmar.
Sigmar.
Yeah. It's Necromunda Sigmar. That's really what it is.
Pretty much.
They did release a new Horus Heresy model last night, a Chthonian something or other.
No, that was a campaign book.
Oh, campaign book. They had a lot of Sigmar releases, but we don't care about Sigmar.
No.
I would I would like to care about Sigmar, and we would invite the Sigmar people in. We have space for you to play. Come hang out with the Sigmar people.
That one group was actually in last night.
Oh, good. See,
with
look,
the Hammered Dwarf.
Sigmar people are coming back. We like Sigmar. So yeah, new Kill Team box. A lot of new Sigmar stuff. They're doing the Cities of Sigmar is the campaign, the big campaign book that they're talking about. That'll be out in the fall. Mm-hmm. And they're talking about how tough the people of Sigmar are because they have to fight all kinds of unholy monsters. There's a new Khorne book coming for Sigmar, a new Slaanesh book coming for Sigmar. Now explain this, because in the old days,
there was no Slaanesh.
Warhammer Fantasy and 40K were the same universe. Then they killed Warhammer Fantasy, and they brought in Sigmar, but now they're not the same universe.
They're all attached to the warp, and the warp is attached to the multiverse.
Is that their excuse for having Khorne and Sigmar?
No, Slaanesh and Sigmar.
Well, no, they have Slaanesh now.
If I may, we have like almost a dozen people at the store. They're like, I would play Sigmar, but no one plays Sigmar. You guys should play Sigmar because then there would be people to play Sigmar.
Yeah, if all of you got together and started playing Sigmar, there would be some Sigmar.
So basically, this is how they ended Warhammer Fantasy. The Ever-Chosen wins. He is the head of the Chaos Hordes. He gets his wish, and his wish is to destroy reality.
Okay, so that's how they destroyed Warhammer Fantasy.
Yeah. And then the gods of humanity, led by Sigmar, used his infinite power, or his almost infinite power, enough to rescue a lot of humans, dwarves, and elves and create another world for them. And that's why it's now Age of Sigmar.
Okay, that makes sense.
But then also part of the multiverse, the aspect of Slaanesh that got into that part of the multiverse was initially caged and very inactive and just had small pleasure cults that eventually grew, and they freed the aspect of Slaanesh in Sigmar. So that's why Slaanesh is now making an incursion, because Slaanesh is free to go, wooda, 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 look at all this weird S&M stuff.
Pete, they're asking about your army. Pete has an army.
Yeah, he plays orcs.
You have orcs in 40K, but I was looking at the boxes that we have, Beastmen.
You want the Beastmen box?
Yeah, Beastmen. That's it.
They do have some new Seraphon stuff coming for Age of Sigmar too, so the dinosaur rider looking people. The sculpts that they're doing for Sigmar look really, really cool.
Right.
Maybe I'll get into Sigmar. One of us is probably going to have to do it in the store.
Not it.
Phil's like, nope, too much with the 40K.
Although the lizard people, the only thing my brain was saying was, well, people are going to start kit bashing Exodites again
There you go.
with the new sculpts.
All right. So without further ado, we will get into the big news. And this is actually, I am going to criticize their thing, because I was watching the Adepticon stream and I was like, get to it. And you knew 10th edition was going to come last. But they were like, all right, we're done. And oh, wait, we got one more thing. Because everything up to that point, because you and I had done a watch, this was like 6 months ago, when they were like, huge reveals, And
we were both like, that was the dumbest thing since I've seen.
And literally watching the Adepticon one last night, like I got about halfway, maybe 3/4 of the way through, and I was just like, this is stupid.
Yeah, they're...
I was pretty disappointed.
Their methodology on releases these days, they need to like find somebody who's more good at it, because this is just cringy.
Yeah.
Especially that one that I was showing you and Pete on Facebook of stock video of a sleeping lion, then stock video of an old school alarm clock that still had bells on it with the hammer in between, and then black. Stop lying around. End. What smooth brain came up with that?
No one knows.
How many thousands of pounds did you spend, GW, paying the smooth brain that did that?
See, that's the problem.
Just
They're
contact
British.
me. I'll come up with the better marketing
They're
campaign
British.
for you.
That's their problem. They're British people. That did not go over well. So they finally come out at the end and they go, yes, 10th edition is coming. So 10th edition, they're saying summer. So that to me means probably July.
In July.
I think June probably too early. Usually when they say a season, I've noticed this about GW. Usually when they
Apparently we can't say that word anymore.
say
So the issue is...
the sticking point. Usually when GW says a season, it's the latter half of that season. When they say fall, you're talking about November. When you're talking about third week of June, locking it in now, I don't think so. I think they'll wait till after 4th of July.
They don't give a crap about freedom.
I'm just saying, but they care about timing and when things are going to sell.
4th of July is in the middle of a week this year.
So
I think it's like a Tuesday.
here's the big things that they announced about 10th edition up front. Codexes are free.
Yes, all of the rules are online in a PDF for free, which means they get updated for free.
Yep.
It makes everybody's lives
So
easier.
the day of the release, the core rules and all of the index cards digitally will be available. They alluded to a new army building app that will be free and you won't have to pay for anymore.
Did they buy Battlescribe? Because please use Battlescribe.
What'd you do, GW? What'd you do?
Okay. It will be free. They
And will probably suck. Yes, you're right, Mr. Fluffykins.
Mr. Von Funkins thinks the app will suck. Maybe they got a different person.
The only reason I pay for Warhammer Plus at all is so I can get the free models that are exclusive to Warhammer Plus, because it's the same thing. I have yet to watch much of their animation because it is so terrible.
So that's the nice thing. It doesn't look like they're going to do a thing. I think Phil and I are in agreement that they're probably going to release like a collector's edition core rule book or something cool with a bunch of lore and stuff in it.
Right.
But the two things that they highlighted on the stream was, we heard you don't want to take 15 bucks to every Warhammer miniature game. And two, we're tired of buying new codexes. And I think the way that they're going to get around everybody being mad that they just released the 9th edition codexes for Astra Militarum and World Leaders is, we're giving you the new ones for free.
And all of the armies, day one, will have their new rules.
For free.
For free.
Because, so let me ask you this, because I'm looking at the new data cards.
Yeah, that one NID one.
So they've got a good example up on the Warhammer community site, which is the new NID one. And like it took me about 2 seconds. I had to kind of go through it twice before I was like, okay, I see what they're doing. It doesn't look like anything for what is weapon skill, ballistic skill, all that stuff. All that's staying the same. Strength, toughness is all still there. there's a couple things I noticed.
Well, strength is no longer in the main profile. It's down in the weapon
It's
profile
down
for
in
everything.
the attack profiles for everything. The other thing that I noticed. So, are you calling this? I guess we are because all the codexes will be invalidated. So this is a hard reset.
Technically, yes.
Yes. So this will be a hard reset. And this is I'm actually gonna button hook into another topic because the one thing I noticed that this card does not have points or power. There is none.
Well, it's an incomplete card.
It could be. Now the only reason I say I'm wondering, because you and I have talked about this a lot, and they confirmed something last night in army building, because they're like, we want to make army building symbol. All the stuff with Arcs of Omen. You remember when they released that? And I said, this is what they're going to do for the next edition. They're going to make it super easy to get the baseline army on the field. Mm-hmm. And they said that last night. In 10th edition, it's pick your warlord, pick 3 of any unit type, or 6 if it's troops. There, now you can field everything else. I wonder if they're just getting rid of the whole thing. I mean, like,
Possibly.
look, this is the thing. And the reason I asked that, and this is where I'm going to button hook, so one of the new game modes they talked about is patrol. And the way that they're stating it
is what's in the combat patrol box is your entire army for playing a combat patrol.
And they will balance. That's the other thing and see, this is why I said they're got to be doing something a little funky. Because when he said that, and I had to go back and listen to it again, and I was like, did he say that out loud? No more maths. So if you want to play words, if you want to play a combat patrol mission, like me and Pete are going to play combat patrol mission, he takes exactly what's in his combat patrol box, I take exactly what's in mine, and somehow GW is going to balance that.
I don't know how they're going to do that.
I don't either. Because I don't want to do maths.
But it'll be like limited release, right? It's not going to be like 15 boxes.
It's going to be
like 3.
We have the combat patrols for all of them.
The current combat patrols are staying the way that they are, according to the stream last night.
That's what it is.
And when you play combat patrol, which is a version of play now, so people don't have to have their giant, big ol' ass armies like me.
Yeah.
That's all you want to play. There is a mode to play, and everything in that box is the only thing that you can have. Problem is some of it's going to be extremely unbalanced, in my opinion, because
unless they've got something up their sleeve.
Here it is. Now they talked about vehicles' toughness being raised. What happens when a Leaven Russ that's in the patrol box for Militarum,
but it's not in the patrol box for Militarum.
Oh, you're right. It isn't.
They have a Sentinel, a squad, 2 squads, a command squad, and a the heavy ordnance battery.
Trying to think of anything that's got a heavy vehicle in it.
So
now that I'm thinking about it, all the patrol boxes don't have heavy vehicles. They all have transports
or like light vehicles.
Yeah.
So somebody in the chat.
There goes that. Never mind.
Somebody in the chat brought up CP, and so this is the other thing that they said last night during the stream. The amount of CP you get is going to go way down, and the other thing is
also no more psychic phase.
Well, let me get to that. So with command points specifically and with stratagems, what they said was basically this: you will have the stratagems for everybody, right, regardless of army, and then basically if you're Ultramarines, you'll have a set of 6 stratagems. If you're Dark Angels, you'll have a set of 6 stratagems. If you're Eldar, you will have a set of 6 stratagems, and that's it. The only thing to use. Yes, that is correct. There is no more psychic phase. Psychic stuff is going to happen during other phases.
Right, depending on what the psychic power
Depending on what the psychic power is, and it'll be included on that model's data card as to how that works, and it'll work more like an ability and not a separate, like, mechanic. They're removing psychic as a separate mechanic.
The way I interpret it is like, okay, you get 2 casts, so you have this thing that can buff in melee, or you have this thing that buffs in shooting, or you're using smite during your shooting phase instead of shooting your weapon.
Yes.
That's what I think is going to happen.
Yeah, and that's basically what I think is probably going to happen too. You will still have psychic tests to accomplish that.
Right.
But yeah, it's like, look, if this Farseer is going to use the speed up movie psychic ability, they will use that ability during the movement phase for the appropriate unit that you're trying to do that with. Morale is changing too. That was another thing they brought up. Morale and combat attrition will no longer cause you to lose models.
What?
That That is not how combat attrition. Now, they weren't super clear, and they said they're going to reveal more, but the example they used on the stream was instead of that unit not losing models, they will basically get debuffed. Right?
Their stats are going to suck more.
Their stats are going to suck more. So they just won't be as functional. So, like, if you kill 4 guys out of a squad of Astra Militarum and they break, they're wild shooting now. Now they can't shoot as well. And the other thing they said is can't hold objectives, because one of the things they said in the stream was
no more objectives secured.
Well, no more objectives secured. And what they saw people doing in games was, cool, you killed my half my squad of Astra Militarum. I did the combat attrition test. I got 5 models left. I'm just going to park them on this backfield objective and have them sit here until the end of the game. And they don't want that to happen anymore. So, like, combat broken units won't be able to hold objectives as well. If you look at the card, they actually have a point value. It's the OC. So there is a stat on the card that tells you basically for each set of termagants that's worth 2 objective control points.
Yeah. Per member of that squad.
Yeah.
And each one's going to be different. Vehicles are going to have a higher OC. Knights are supposed to have a really high OC, because the problem Knights have been having is not being able to control objectives. That's why I say you plant the Knight on top of the objective so its base covers it entirely, and that way nobody can get within 3 inches of it. So F you, my objective.
Yeah.
Because people are like, oh, look, I have 1 Orc Boy left and a Knight on the objective. The Orc Boy is a troop choice, and he has objective secured. He wins.
Yep.
That doesn't make sense.
It doesn't.
To you.
So objective secured is going away. Combat attrition is changing.
Makes me wonder how my Night Lord's army is going to run, because they have so many leadership negatives. But at the same time, didn't really get to use it as effectively, because most times it was either the unit was completely dead anyway, and I couldn't use the bonuses to their negative leadership for them to fail combat attrition tests. So yeah, I think my Night Lords is going to be way more viable.
Well, the other thing that they said is they're actually making it less deadly. They're making it harder for you to kill things in the game. And they said that very specifically. And one of the things that they brought up was vehicles.
Vehicles having a higher toughness.
Having way higher toughness. There's base vehicles with 10, 11 toughness. And so I think one of the ways they're going to fix some of the problem with some of the armies where it's like, Phil takes sisters with 8 billion melta weapons. Fuck your tanks.
Multi-meltas, yeah.
Right?
I think, but they're also going to have to, it's going to have to be a balance between the heavy weapons and the toughness of the vehicles now, just because if you make a Lehman Russ toughness 10 and the most powerful anti-vehicle weapon has a strength of 9, you're always wounding it on a 5.
Yeah, but I also think that what they'll do to counter that is they'll bring in, like, what's your annoying floaty tank that I hate?
Oh, the Repulsor Executioner.
Its main gun will have a strength of 11.
Right.
Right. I think
but even heavy weapons teams.
I think what they're going to do...
Like las cannon should go to 9.
He said they're going to have like a wider array of strength and toughness in this version. So I think what they're going to do is they're going to be like, look, if you're shooting at a tank with a tank, yeah, you're going to have a strength 11 weapon on that tank.
Right. I never liked the fact that las cannons could kill tanks. That never made sense to me. I hated it.
And so I think that's kind of the way they're going to go. They're also doing something which is the opposite of what they did in 9th edition, where they added, like, it was like the AP race, right? How much negative AP can I make you take, right? They said that AP is going to go way down. Like, that AP, like, negative APs are going to be much more rare.
Right. So the example they gave was plasma weapons will no longer be a -3 thing.
Yeah.
Probably a -2.
Yep. Sounds like they're combining Horus Heresy and 40K. What do you think of that?
I haven't read all of the Horus Heresy rules. I know it's a modified version of 7th edition. Your Hecaton. Yeah, your Hecaton actually is going to get worse.
I don't know about worse. Again, it's going to be interesting to see how they rebalance everything, because it sounds like a completely new balancing system.
It makes me wonder. So there was a rumor floating around that weapons designated at heavy were going to have a higher AP against keyword vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically.
Could be. So the way they're doing it now, and you can see an example on the Warhammer community page, they've got these cards, And those will be free. You'll be able to download them. But the other thing, basically the thing they're going to sell instead of codex is packs
Cards.
of those.
Packs of the cards.
Of the index cards, which you said they already do for Sigmar.
Yeah, they have something like that for Sigmar.
It's a good idea though. Like people love that for D&D, and I see the cards on the shelves. I'm like, this seems like the way
People
to go.
print out reference cards,
Yeah.
make PDF reference cards and print them out.
I did it for remember I did it for my Eldar with the stratagems. Is I would literally snip all the stratagems from the codex into a PowerPoint and just print 2 pages of PowerPoint. So I had all the stratagems I was going to use on 2 pages. So it looks like they're going to do that.
So question for like, because I'm still a newbie to this. So no more codexes, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So is it just a PDF online, and every time there's an update,
Yep.
you go get it?
Yeah, or they'll direct update the PDF. I mean, they can do that. It's not hard.
Yeah,
Yep.
right. So this is a way to ease people into 10th edition instead of being like, I just bought this book. So no more, because that's the biggest complaint I've heard about Warhammer is I bought these models, but then every time a new edition, you okay?
Yeah.
They're like, I gotta go buy a new book now. And that was actually one of my contention points.
And they
I have so many dead codexes in my basement.
I know.
Yep.
Yeah.
They said that the decision to make the core rules and base rules for every army free is an evergreen decision. That's a direct quote. That they're not going back to codexes. So that you will
Thank
never
God.
you will never do it.
Good.
So this was something Phil and I talked about a lot. And I was like, if anybody needs to go all fucking digital, it's GW.
Right. Not D&D, GW.
Thank you, GW. I'm glad that you're going all digital with your rule set. It's a good job. That's not hot garbage.
Hot garbage.
I still think you're releasing it too soon, but whatever. The fact that you're making it free for people is good. Phil obviously has questions about balancing because this is going to get weird.
Yeah, it's going to get weird. So movement hasn't changed. The dice rolls haven't changed because in other editions, like I remember in 2nd edition, you didn't have a ballistic. You had a ballistic skill and a weapon skill, but you had to use this weird hex box
Table.
to figure out if you actually hit the damn target, and then another hex box to actually wound the target. And then vehicles had front, side, and back armor ratings.
Yep.
And then you had to roll your actual armor penetration. Like the venom cannon from the Tyranids was like a 1d4 plus 8 AP weapon.
There was facing for
Yeah,
weapons,
facing.
whether you could actually shoot, like especially
Yep.
for tanks.
Turrets had 360, but your right hand side sponson only had 90 degrees to the right of it.
Yep.
Or directly in front.
Yep. So it was a funky.
When was this?
This was 2nd, 3rd edition.
2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th,
Yeah, you.
7th.
You.
All of them. All the way up to
8th.
8th is when they got rid of facing because the guys that I was playing with are like, wait a minute, facing's not a thing anymore. I was like, no, your tank can shoot in every direction. Apparently, I don't remember because I stopped playing fucking 20 years ago.
And facing cost you, I think, an inch of movement to
Yes,
like
it did.
spin the tank, if I
Yep.
recall correctly. Because I had Astra Militarum back when they were still Imperial Guard back in, what was it, 3rd edition?
2nd.
Was that 2nd edition?
Yes,
Jeez.
you, me, Harvey
Yeah, it
were
was
playing the
2nd
2nd edition
Yep.
into 3rd.
So that's, so chat say if they can make it less maths, that really sounds like that's
Stop saying maths. Stupid.
That's
It's math.
that really does look like what they're going for. They're getting rid of the point stuff, and they're just being like, here, bring some armies, and they're just counting on. So my theory is like when you look at like a infantry squad for the Astra Militarum, they're going to count on the fact that you're just going to max out war gear every single time.
Right.
Right.
And they're moving, they've been steadily moving to the only war gear you can put on them is the war gear in the box directly.
Yep.
This is my biggest complaint about. So I had Chosen kitted out a certain way and Terminators for my Chaos Marine, Space Marines armies, and I'm using slick brain language, Phil. Freaking aluminium.
Aluminium.
Anyway, so I had kitted out Terminators a specific way to deal with a specific target on the board, and then when 9th edition Codex came out, like, oh no, you can only have the weapons for a squad of 5 that comes exactly in the box.
Yes.
And I think, oh yeah, I am very not British. Oh God, am I so not British? I laugh in 1776. I think they're going to move. It's going to be really hard to do for some factions. So like right now, Chaos Space Marines, just the base box of Chaos Space Marines has the option of taking weapons that aren't in that kit. You have to get it from the Havoc kit for heavy weapons. So las cannons, Reaper chain cannons. There is a missile launcher in a normal box of Chaos Space Marines, but there's one. Mm-hmm. So I wonder if they're really gonna hamstring Chaos Space Marines that way, which is why I haven't started making heavy weapon guys in my base Chaos Space Marines. I always give them plasma guns and melta guns, but I would prefer to sit there with some las cannon troops in the back, just sniping at vehicles.
Yep.
But we'll see what happens. Freedom units are cannon.
When is the next event of the store? The next thing that we have, so we have Kill Team every Thursday, so that'll be tonight, right? And then pretty much all weekend we've got stuff. I recommend getting into the Discord, and I see people setting up matches for 40K and for Kill Team and all our war games in there all the time. That is the best. We tried to run just full days, and we just like, blah, but I mean, the best way to do it is to jump in the Discord. And honestly, just to pop in, because there's usually somebody who's like, hey, I wouldn't mind playing a 500-pointer.
Right.
The big events can be found at the
on the
website, which I'll post here, but the Warhammer channel on the Discord is very active, and they're so nice. I mean, they're just so helpful. I'm so proud of them.
So there's that. Forge World. They did say Forge World will have rules day one.
Yeah.
So all your Forge World models are not screwed. I was worried about that because I love my Wraithseers. They're my favorite. Phil actually bought me one last year because he was like, you need more Wraithseers. And I was like, yes. I love my Wraith armies. And with the new construction rules, they work really well. And so I'm glad that Forge World, and I know there's a lot of people that like, especially Custodes players have a lot of Forge World stuff.
And Deathcore Krieg.
Deathcore has a lot of Forge World stuff. So the fact that Forge World is that, which might be a good time to learn.
It looks like they're dismantling Forge World.
Eventually.
So with the Horus Heresy game moving from resin to plastic, so the all resin dreadnoughts, that dreadnought class from the Horus Heresy, not the big boxy ones that we use.
Oh, the ones that look more like the Custodes ones?
Yes. Those kits are gone. The only thing that you can buy now is the body with iconography for specific legions, because the current kit is in the new kit is in full plastic with all the weapons in one kit. So now you have a mixture of resin and plastic together instead of it all being resin, which makes it easier to put together.
Yes.
Remember, kids, clean your resin. Clean your resin
before
you can. You got to wash it in warm water.
Yep.
Because the releasing agent. So basically, they have a mold and they spray releasing agent in it, and then they pour in the hot resin. The resin cools and they pop it out. Well, it's still covering that crap. Don't do what I did and forget to wash, and then start painting things and watch your paint go bubble.
That and it can be poisonous unless it's like.
Well, I think it doesn't hold glue as well as either if you don't wash it.
Glue. Contemptor. That's what I was looking for. Thank you.
Thank you, chat. So Forge will get stuff day one. Everything else is free day one. That's going to be evergreen. Hopefully their new app is not Garbo.
Like Garbo.
It looks like there's going to be a lot less math going into it. Points power, I think, is going away. I think it's just going to be max out your war gear for that unit. They're trying to make the units, and they've said this before. They don't want tournament lists to be, if you're Chaos Space Marines, you pay these 7 units and that's it. They want people using 70 to 80% of the codex in the meta. So hopefully this is good then. Are we using something other than Battlescribe? Maybe, if it's not Garbo. What day is day one? We don't know. They just said summer. So we're guessing July.
So people were asking questions about this earlier in the week, and I actually sat down and Googled each release. And since the release of 3rd, it's every 3 years, and then the release dates happen anywhere between June and August. So
July is what I'm betting. We will run some real big. We'll run a real big event the day that 10th drops, where we'll run through a bunch of games with people.
I better get a freaking email from them saying, send back all of your unsold codexes for a refund.
I was actually going to ask about that. Like, we need to call them because we just bought a bunch of codexes, and I'm like, well, thanks for that, GW.
Yeah, thanks for
letting me buy codexes. Can I buy and start painting armies now, or will they change? Baseline stuff never changes. If you buy Space Marine Primaris Intercessors, they're always going to be useful.
Yes, you can use the Leviathan Dreadnought in 40k. So the Contemptors and the Leviathans, they cost you a command point because they're relics. And you can only have one.
I want to hop in here about that question about if you can buy and start painting armies now. Like the stat blocks for things will change, but a lot of people at this store do rule of cool. Paint your miniatures and build them however you want. Decision paralysis about that is just going to slow you down, keep you from the hobby. Battle Scribe and the Army Builder app is where you'll change those numbers and how they're built out. No one here is going to give you a hard time if they have a gun and you say they have 2 swords.
Yeah,
Just get into it.
We don't run weird stuff where we're like, it must be WYSIWYG, which is what you see is what you get. Like, within reason. Obviously, I'm not going to be like, I have this little miniature 28-inch model and it's a knight. No, like it's got to be
roughly the same size.
Roughly the same size, same base size for movement purposes. Space Wolf's a cool army.
Because, I mean, sometimes the minis are expensive, and I've seen people use, like, a toy school bus, and they're like, this is my transport vehicle. Like, and that's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine.
As long as you're reasonable about it. Space Wolves are a cool army. It was actually the second army.
Space Wolf army.
It was the second army I bought back in 2nd, 3rd edition. Somebody asked earlier what edition. I started playing in 2nd.
We started playing in 2nd.
Yeah, 2nd edition. That was a long time ago. We do have an amazing 40K community, so please come to the store and play some 40K. It's fun. I've actually been trying to find the time recently to get back into building some new models that I have. So.
Yes, we don't care. Since we're not the GW stores, we don't care about third-party models or your own prints on
third-party bits, yeah.
Or third-party bits or paint levels. So like when I run our in-store tournaments, I avoid using the painted versus unpainted victory point thing because I just want folks to come in and play. Now, having said that, the community that I've been slowly cultivating, they're going to start voting on best painted every tournament to get an additional prize. So I'm looking at you, my folks. I'm gonna do it too, but get to paint.
I'm not a good painter. I speed paint most of my miniatures. Anything major I send out to have commission painted if I want to. But like, if you look at like my Eldari Dire Avengers, when they're just sitting on the board, they look fine. I speed painted them. Now, if you pick them up and look up close, like it's like they're not super, but just putting them on the board, like 3 colors, right? There's some great speed painting tutorials on YouTube. Phil can show you some great speed painting techniques. I'm a fan of the assembly line method, where I basically take a color, all 10 miniatures get that color, that color. Then I go to the next color, all 10 miniatures get that color, and that's how I can burn through a squad, like a squad of 10, doing that to get a base paint line down in about 2 hours.
And then hit it with a wash.
And you're done. So if you're just like, I just want to put myself painted, do it that good. If you want to and you have the time to sit
there and paint everything
cool
highly.
Paint, great. Yeah.
Our community is also pretty good about I ask Warhammer Alex all the time, how did you do this? And he talks to me forever about painting techniques and stuff. So there's that part of the hobby and community as well, which is super cool.
We actually now have some cool dips too from Army Painter, where you don't even have like paint the wash. You can just be like, dip.
Okay. If you're going to use the dip method, 1, shake the crap out of that pot because a lot of the pigment has settled to the bottom and it's like bubblegum underneath your seat.
Mm-hmm.
You got to get in there, break it up, get the pigment in there. Then either get vice grips or do what I did, and I started gluing washers to the bottom of my guys that were magnetic, and then I took a dowel and glued a magnet to it, and I just go, boop. Set it down to dry. Because it's going to have a lot of pigment on it, so you got to shake some of it off. Or you can get really crazy like I did, and the dowel is only this long, and I put it on my drill, and I had a spin box where I just put the thing in the box, turned the drill on, and the centrifugal force just pulled off the excess pigment, and it didn't go all over my basement because it was just in this little box.
Yeah. The other thing you can use for that stuff, dolls, one of the things that I learned online was wine corks and sticky tack.
Wine corks
and sticky tack on the base of your on the base
to hold on to things.
To just to hold on while you're painting, and B, same thing. You can be like dip, dip, dip.
You got to hold on it. Yeah, that sticky tack is going to let that model fly. You got to hold on to the base while you're shaking it
Just
off.
shake it up that way.
This is the most like DIY, like figure it out, do weird
If
stuff
you-
hobby.
If you look on the event schedule, there is a painting with Phil event scheduled. I believe it's the weekend after SoccerCon. I think it's already on there.
No, that's the next tournament.
There's one there is one up there. I have to go look. There is on the event schedule a painting event. We already
Use your
set
old
a date.
RX bottles. That is also true.
Patience to build, yeah. I mean, I tell people all the time who ask me about 40K, look, if you don't like building model, like you absolutely hate it,
Don't do it.
might not be the hobby for you.
Or if you don't want to, but you have a lot of money, there are companies out there you can buy painted armies from.
Yep. When Impact Club Gundams to be open, yep, that's the same thing. But if you don't like thing, you could probably find somebody in store. You could be like, here, if I hand you this box and I pay you $50, will you just build it? Somebody will probably do it. Or BattleTech. BattleTech's a good one.
Yeah.
Do you have to put together the little miniatures for the World War II game?
Oh, for bolt action, yes. And the soldiers are about the size of Astra Militarum soldiers, but their weapons are really thin and easily lost. So don't put something down with a lip on it, so when you're cutting over it, it doesn't escape.
Yeah. All right, Phil. Final things. We're gonna sign off here in a couple of minutes. What's your general feeling right now in the tent? Like, are you like? There's some good, there's some bad here that I see, but what's your overall thoughts here on how they're doing this, based on what you know right now?
I can see where they're trying to make it easier to get more people into the hobby, but at the same time, the fact that it's not crunchy is going to drive more people out. Because that was the problem with second to third edition. Second edition was super crunchy, and then third edition was super less crunchy, and a bunch of people just were like, well, this game's dead to me. But then a lot of those people came back in like fourth and fifth edition. Some people just skipped whole editions. I stopped playing because I couldn't afford it anymore. It was expensive. I was 18 years old. Amex Chan. I think it's going to be an interesting way to play. I wonder how big a tournament army, which is usually 2,000 points, is going to pan out. Just because if they get rid of points and they go to power level
Or some other function.
I have a problem with that because it can easily become unbalanced. Because some kits have better weapons and they go to, you can only use the weapons in the kit. It's going to destroy some people's armies already because they're using weapons that weren't in the kit but were allowed to put on the unit. So we don't know. And again, they already did it with Chaos Space Marines. It's like, if you have Devastator Marines and you're using Firstborn Marines, you can have a heavy weapon in a 5-man squad, but that heavy weapon doesn't come in that kit at all. So it could just go, you can't have heavy weapons in those squads anymore. You just move it over to a Devastator squad, which is fine, but it's harder to do that in Chaos because their Devastators are bigger bases and are a completely different model. Does not look like the base Chaos base. So I'm wondering how that's going to go. I think that's going to be the real issue and the balancing issue between heavy weapons and vehicles. So I think if they don't find a good balance, vehicles are going to be the name of the game. Who can bring the biggest, baddest vehicle, and then all of a sudden you're going to see just domination by knights and
Tank battles. I don't disagree. I do think, again, I'm curious about how they're going to do that. I'm wondering if it's going to be a structure like Combat Patrol is one mode, and then there is literally the modes like we see them now, where it's like, look, mode 2 is Incursion, and Incursion is this many units. And you can just take however many you want, and again, it's Warlord and 3 minimum of something, and then fill it out this way, and then, Strike Force is this, and this is this. And so I'll say that 9th edition has shown me that they are better at balancing than we used to give them credit for.
Mm-hmm.
They've had 3 years to work on this since 9th edition came out, because I'm sure they started working on it the day after 9th edition came out.
I'm sure they were working on 10th edition when 8th edition dropped.
Could be. I share your concerns though, because like there were some points in 3rd edition and some other editions where, and you can go back and read about this, like forum posts and stuff, where like Imperial Guard, Ashen Militarum were essentially Garbo. Like you couldn't play them because the balance was so far off.
And then all of a sudden they were like, the first 3 months of 8th edition, you couldn't beat them.
They've gotten better at that. So
aside from like really knee-deep rule stuff, as a layperson, this seems like maybe I don't know if we agree on this. As a layperson, this seems like a edition is a good move to get more people into it and to streamline things.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which and everything that you've told me and talked about as far as like 40,000 foot view, just to me, I'm happy to hear it because there's so much with this hobby at times where you're just like, I don't know what any, like you get lost in the weeds super easy. And that's kind of what it seems like their goal is. And I'm happy to hear it.
I think that's true. I think part of that though is also how GW markets it. I mean, what GW does, part of it's the community. Because it really, 40K now, 9th edition 40K, it's not hard to play. It's super easy. So we'll see. More reveals are coming, they said, over the next weeks and months. They kept saying that over and over again. Over the next weeks and months. By the way, your quality on that was Garbo GW.
Oh, yeah.
It was so bad.
I thought my phone was just losing connectivity.
No,
and I was like,
I checked it on my computer too. I was like, damn,
what were you doing, man?
look bad. Come on, folks.
Same smooth brain that did the stop right around.
I'm available for contract work.
Again, I'm glad they're going away from codexes. I'm glad they're making the rules free. I think that that's the smartest thing. I think that's what's going to keep people in the hobby is the fact that they don't have to freaking buy codexes anymore.
Right. Also, this means I'm not going to sell anything from Games Workshop until the next edition comes out. Thanks.
I mean, we're still going to carry stuff. Again,
We're still going to carry it, but in my observation and hang out in hobby stores, when the new edition is announced, sales stops until the rules drop, and then everybody scrambles to chase a new meta.
yeah. So we'll do replacement stuff, but a lot of what we're probably going to bring in is just like troop choice,
Right.
tank.
Yeah.
Like that's it.
And if it's going super vehicle heavy, just wait till I pull some Iron Hands out with just nutty.
Yeah,
tanks.
I'm really curious. I want to see a data card for the Lieben Rust because again, them saying like some of these vehicles are going to go strength 10 and 11 or toughness 10 and 11. I think based on the stream last night and looking at the new data card, I think I know what they're gonna do.
I think Lehman Russ is going to go straight to toughness 9. Baneblade is going to be 10, and Knights are going to be 11, 12.
I think Knights will be 12.
Well, it depends on the size of the Knight.
Yeah, but I think Plasma and Melta are going to stay strength 7, 8. Like 7 for non-supercharged.
The multi-Melta is the same strength as a normal Melta. I think they need to up it to 9, just like a las cannon.
So I think what they're going to do is, I think las cannons are going to be 9, and I think what they're going to be like is, look, Plasma and Melta is great for transports and light vehicles like Sentinels and Rhinos and Chimeras, but you're not using that on a tank, and if you want to, it's going to be wounding on a 5. And I think they're going to have specific weapons that, like Devastator or something like that, like las fusils or other stuff that will be for tanks.
Yeah, like I said, I think heavy weapons designed for anti-tank are going to have something that goes, oh yeah, if you're shooting a keyword vehicle, it's actually strength this, AP this.
Yeah.
Because you're shooting at a bigger target, you're less likely to miss.
If it's a pre-built army, go ahead and buy the pre-built army. I don't think Amazon sells pre-built armies. So if you want to look for inexpensive models and you're just trying to find something that's pre-built and painted, I have made some good hay on eBay.
Or if you really, really, really want to spend money on primo stuff, Imagine Studios out of Poland. They have tiers of painting level, and it's roughly the cost of the box. So if you buy a $60 set of Primaris Intercessors and you want it painted to tabletop ready, it's an additional $60. So that box is going to cost you $120.
You also may hit up the Warhammer channel in the Discord. I actually scored half of my orcs from Aiden because he wanted to get rid of his army. So some people are always trying to offload an army. You might ask somebody in the community because I got, $250 worth of orcs for like $100.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a lot. And just ask around, really, is another option.
Oh no, we will continue restocking, and to answer questions that we'll continue maintaining a certain stock of GW stuff. It's just a lot of the specialty stuff and a lot of their like weird miniatures we'll probably stay away from until the new edition drops. Again, there's certain evergreen units, Astra Militarum, fucking infantry squads, Primaris infantry squads, the base troop choices, the base HQ units, Leman Russes. Like those will always be relevant. And so we will keep those in stock. Where we start to get a little wonky on stuff is again the stuff where it's meta chase stuff or new stuff. Like
also, if you see it on the Games Workshop website and it has a red and white arrow in the bottom left-hand corner, that means it's online only. We did not set up our account to buy that stuff because they make it extremely not advantageous for us to do so. Basically, I would make no money on it.
We have some Space Wolf stuff in stock.
Yeah, I got Space Wolves.
Yep.
Well, and I can get more Space Wolves because for like Primaris Intercessors, there is a Primaris Intercessor upgrade kit for every major faction. So there is one for Space Wolves, and like you just slap these on instead of the other shoulder pads. It already has the wolf sign on it, and it's got wolfy bits, and some extra chain sorty things. So
yep.
Yeah, but also like whatever is easiest for you to get in the hobby. To an extent. Like,
yeah. The combat patrol boxes will always be relevant. And especially with the new edition, they showed a big thing with all the combat patrol boxes. Those are still going to be super relevant. So if you want to get into the hobby, the combat patrol box really is, it's way better than the old start collecting sets that they had in 8th edition, which weren't always fieldable. A combat patrol box is always fieldable out of the box. And generally, they've been pretty good. I can speak for most of the factions. If you buy a combat patrol box, there's generally not much in there that's not useful. You know, like the Astra Militarum one, it's a command squad with a captain, and then there's an infantry squad or a couple of them, and then there's a sentinel and a heavy ordnance battery. All of those are very usable in-game. So if you buy a combat patrol box to get started, right? Like if you're like, I just want to get in the hobby, they're usually about $150, $160, and that's generally a good place to start.
yes, we can also order stuff. So go to the Discord server. There is a ticket system that helps me remember to order the things that people want. If you see it online, like I said, if you go to the Games Workshop website and there's not the red and white arrow in the left-hand corner, it's something that I can easily order if I already don't have stock on it. Open a ticket so I remember, because I can't hold all of those things in my head because I have everybody under the sun asking me for things. So the ticket system helps me remember to order it, and then when it comes in, I notify you, then close the ticket when you pick up the items.
Yep. All right. Well, that will end today's thing. Again, go to Heaven PNW. There should be a new merch design up later today, but also go check it out. All the people who were like, we want this design, but in this different thing. So each design has multiple different options. There is a bento box. There is business card holders. There's baby bibs. There's kids' shirts. There is a whole bunch of stuff. So there is going to be a new design up later today too. So if you're like, I wanted this one, but in a hoodie, I put up a baseball tee for one of them last night for, I think, this design. And we have a new printer, right? So we're working with a new printing partner. So hopefully these ones are going to be like way, way better. We're pretty happy.
And not take 4 months to
Yes. I have heard some good deals. I've heard some good reviews of the printing partners that we're using. So I think it's going to be better. So again, gamersheavenpnw.com. The merch store button is in the upper right-hand corner of the website. So go click it. Also, if you're watching this on YouTube later, comment below. Tell us stuff. Subscribe. Do all that fun stuff.
IRS, Tink.
You can use your Prime subs on our Twitch channel. All of these little things, like when people were like, how can I support the store? These are all little things that help support the store, that help us keep going, make more content, come up with more new stuff, and do all these fun things. So.
Also, I laid the gauntlet down. If you guys don't have the 500 subs by summer to get me to shave my beard, it ain't happening. So get your shit together.
There you go.
Take it to the shit store.
All right. Actually, I think we could set a firm deadline on this. If we don't have the 500 subs for Phil to shave his beard before, because we know what's happening in summer, before the day one of 10th edition. Is that a fair?
That's good. Yeah.
So we have to have 500 subs by day one of 10th edition.
Yes.
There you go. Now we've set a hard deadline on it.
All right, this is the way.
All right.
This is the way.
This is the way.
Oof. Yeah, that beardless
Play us
chivy
out,
looks
boys.
like a.
Your mic's still hot. Sing the song.
No, tonight it's our ending song. We sing silly songs because it's ending time. We don't know why. Because we do. Phil needs to sing.
Now you've reached the ASMR portion of our video
No,
today.
not the ASMR voice.
Hello,
No, no.
lovely, lovely ladies and
No,
gentlemen,
I
and
hate
however you
ASMR.
identify.